Dummy Switch Pod. We're back.
Yes.
The boys are back.
Mm-hmm.
How are you, Chris?
No, I'm good. Codis, how's it going?
Yeah, recovered from the weekend. Both of our teams.
Ooh, man. That's a slap in the mouth.
It's a disgruntled podcast this week. There's some good things that happened, some bad things that happened. Yeah, round 3. Let's kick off with the Lions at Ellis Park. Some would say the home of rugby. Springbok rugby. You know, the 95 World Cup, you know, we won at Ellis Park, and we saw the starting debut of our next fly half that's going to give us a drop goal in the final.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. You know, this game, for me, I just feel like the Lions, look, one thing for sure, the Lions were much better. They for me, they're definitely much better. They just look more settled. And
they look like they wanted to win.
Yeah. You know, I feel like they were just unlucky. I'll repeat what I said last week, just lacking the killer punch, you know, because they went the distance. They just couldn't get the TKO, you know, and they got TKO'd basically in that game, you know. I was annoyed with the Lions, you know. I was really annoyed with them.
You know, I've got my grievances, but at least, you know, it looked like we were trying to win in this one. So there's positives, there's negatives. First positive for me is Hendricks. That's our 10 going forward from now on. You know, you had asked the question 2 weeks ago, 9-10 combination. I think you've seen Warner step up since then.
He has.
And, you know, he's shown sort of what he can do in that running capacity.
Yeah.
He's shown that
even that try that was his doing of that line out, and how even 9 and 10 basically linked up, you know, and good loose forward play, you know, just playing running a good supporting line, being there, you know.
Yeah, Pelser had a storm. I think the first 30 especially. You put Yanches on his back.
Yeah, ooh, that was brutal. That was a brutal one, man. I saw the way he got up and he went to the blind side. I was like, no, that guy, he's gonna go just shake it off a little bit, you know.
Yeah, there's guys that put their hands up, especially I think that loose forward trio we saw further on in the game when there were some changes. Similani still hot on form. You know, that tap up for him and that interception. He's knocking on that door. He's knocking on that door.
He is. He's reading the play well. I feel like he's always in the game. You know, it's just, you know, things are not always going to fall for you on attack. But I think the measure of a quality player is especially when things are not going your team's way. You know, that's when he's still standing up. You know, and for me, that's a good sign. And like you say, he's knocking on that door for sure. He definitely is.
I mean, it's similar to the man that he's actually chasing in the 13 jersey. Was sort of the same for the Sharks, where they wouldn't necessarily have a good team performance, but he did his job.
Yeah. No, rightly so, 100%. But you know, can I tell you? Do you know who impressed me in the Lions is Steve Stolle.
Yeah,
he's man. Look, he's just notching it up. He's taking his play up another gear, you know, and especially scrummaging. You know,
the Lions scrum is back. The Lions scrum is back. It went missing. Went missing for a few weeks, but it's safe to say the Lions scrum is back. Kalu Sadi as well. I mean, he had an up week 1 week, down week the other, and it's safe to say the boys are back. I don't know if it's the change in the hooking position.
Maybe, but I also think it's because, you know, they also know. I think the effect of having they just seem to have a better confidence level. You know, maybe knowing that they had the bone collector on the bench, you know, with them, and you know, as well. I think knowing that you're playing against a Stormers team, it's a Springbok front row. I think that as well, it makes you know that, okay, you have to step up. You know, there's no you can't just sit back here and allow the Stormers to come at you. And credit to the Lions. What's just frustrating is that they couldn't finish. It was really annoying because it was there for them to just finish. But I think with Hendrickson there, they found themselves. Like we said it, last week we called for the change. The coaches heard the plea, and he got the full 80, and he didn't disappoint. He really didn't, and overall I think the Lions they've went up a notch, and I think they should start to build that momentum, and which means it becomes a crucial game for the Sharks this weekend because the Lions are desperate to win.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Zeilinger especially, I don't think his phone is going to be ringing from that Lions head office anymore. Nah. I think they've found their man. The box showed there, besides Malherbe, but I mean, a lot of the box showed there sort of what they give to the team in Mbonambi getting over Yanchi's up and down game. After he got bounced, he came back with that intercept, which I personally felt like may have been offside. I was surprised they didn't captain's challenge.
Yeah, it did look a bit offside.
I don't know. He still got a bit of, I think, temperamental issues where he looks frustrated at times. I don't know if you can see, like, there's times where he sort of sticks a leg out at the scrums and you don't know. It looks like it's a building frustration.
Yeah, I think, do you know what it looks like for me? I think it comes from maybe he's not, how can I say, his breakout season, everything was sort of falling for him. The rub of the green was all going his way, and I think he's going through that patch now where it's not really going his way. And I think for him, it'll do him well to just focus on his fundamentals and just play the game and stop trying to do too much. Because I feel like he's trying to do too much and then results in him being frustrated. Because there's no doubt he's a good player, but he's just like I just feel like he's just trying too hard.
Yeah, he got rocked by Hendrickson as well for that captain's challenge that they called. He got really disciplined in that one. I think that was. Yeah. I think maybe that was also a theme of this one where it's like there's a few guys that put up their hands for man of the house.
Yeah, the man of the house award. That's true. There's some heavy hits going on there. I think in both games there was a lot of man of the house moments. But we'll get into that second game. But with this one, I just can't put my finger on why the Lions are not able to keep sustained pressure on the team and sort of build that lead, because previously we did find with the Lions that get on a roll, score that maybe once they get that first try, then they're able to sort of put that team right back under pressure and get a second and just
for me it's defense. Momentum. For me it's defense. It's like there was you work hard for tries. There's moments of brilliance. There's, on the Lions side when it's like, I don't think I'm being biased, but you try and think back to some of the Stormers tries and they're not really memorable because it sort of lapses in concentration. It's poor execution. It's mistakes, or it's sustained pressure in the 22, which if you had a more resolute defense, you would be able to deal with.
Yeah. No, you 100% agree with you, because the Stormers just outside
they were just hanging in there, which I credit them for.
Yeah, look, you have to, I felt like they had glimpses where, where they were looking to move the ball around and they were almost getting purchased. I mean, look, guys like Edwin van der Merwe, I think he's proving week in, week out, that he belongs there.
He was the best winger on the field. And you look at, that's high praise. You've got Skosan, Springbok. You've got Sergio Peterson, Springbok. You've got Maklani, who was Pro14 top scorer.
I don't think Rabs was too far though, considering it was his first game so far in the Rainbow Cup. I don't think he was.
He did his job. Far. He was solid enough on defense, and when he got his opportunity, he showed. I felt like it was also one of those games where I just got the feeling he's gonna score. He's due one, and you can see like he's on it today.
No, true. True. And then again, loose forward trio, the Lions loosies. I really like the Lions loosies. You know, I kind of feel like they just the more they play together, they're going to form into a really good combination because they're all youngsters. You know,
but there were some warnings handed out when the younger Chituka brother came on. I think he passed a bit of a warning when Vincent Chituka went to 8, he went to 7, and I think Horn and Len Massane got given a warning to say, you know, that number 8 position, things could go another way.
Yeah, and I kind of like that because now it's all you can see is Chituka is getting is adding another string to his bow, you know, playing at 8, and if he can crack it there, that's real competition because he's a big boy, you know, he's very strong in his ball carries. If he just fine-tunes some fundamentals, there's no reason why you cannot see him, you know, come in at number 8 because let's face it, after Dwayne Vermeulen, you know, most likely after this British and Irish Lions tour, Vermeulen may retire or may not, but then who's the next 8? You know, that's sort of stepped up, consistent game time, you know, strong ball carries. That's almost not exactly like for like, but brings the same attributes. You think so?
I think it's probably Visa, but I mean that's again looking out of South Africa.
Yeah, but okay, Jasper Visa, okay, I'll give you that, but I still think Chituka has there's, you know, the unknown knowns, you know, where I feel like he could be a dark horse going into sort of, if we're looking into the future, you know, but at the moment right now, I like what the Lions are doing because clearly it's showing how much they value him and they want to keep him on the field, you know, and that's credit to him and the impact that he has on the game. And you see it. I mean, he's strong, man. He's strong. You know, I feel like the Stormers, think about it. The Stormers Lucy's, who would you say really from that game really stood out? You know, I feel like Willie
Tennison had, you know, he had his, you know, getting through the gap there and I mean going over for his try, but it was a bit of soft defense.
Yeah, but and then Engelbrecht playing at 7, I feel like he's being played out of position. You know, he didn't really have a sort of a big impact. You know, he was there. I guess he was doing the dirty work. Then the Russ, I think, is the 8th man, and like he's good, yes, you know, but I felt like even in this game, he just, you know, I wouldn't see.
He hasn't taken those steps that we've seen Palza take, that we've seen Chituka take, that we even see the younger Chituka take. Like those guys are making steps and they're progressing as loose forwards. So I don't. I'd sort of say the same thing. Stormers loose forwards. Engelbrecht, I mean, I just think with the red cards and stuff, he sort of hasn't kicked off in Cape Town yet. So I mean, hopefully moving forward he can do that.
Let's give him time. I think he can put in a good showing, you know. But overall, it's just the notable thing for me out of that game was T. You know, scrum time. I think he put in a shift. You know, well, that Lions front row, they put in a shift for sure. Yeah. You know, they really did.
Yeah, I think it showed how important Odendaal was. He was also making those big runs. Those almost his step is similar to Hendricks. You know, taking it hard to the line and hitting the step right there. I think if we look at what Dan Creel did, I mean, it's an elevation.
Yeah, that difference. That's the thing. I can't believe I forgot that. But that's the thing that stood out for me was Burger Odendaal there at 12. The Lions backline looks so different, and the amount of pressure. I think the difference is the work rate, you know, and especially without the ball, because Burger Odendaal he makes hits. That's number one. He hits, you know. Then the pressure that he puts on, you know, because he was chasing everything, and he was there. He's a big difference in that Lions backline. And on top of that, you see he came back, he retained the captaincy. You know, he's a leader as well, you know, and you can see that in his play. And look, I know Dan Krill, maybe he's rated in some parts, you know, and look, he's a solid enough player, but look, I don't think he's a match for Berger Odendaal.
Yeah, Berger Odendaal for me, that's I feel if he had stayed at the Lions, he would have been a Bok by now. Other centers, I mean, Dan du Plessis, he took his chances. Rickus Pretorius, I felt out wide. Rickus Pretorius was just cutting the lines up and getting that, you know, the wider channels. That's where the later and later on in the game, the wider channels were now looking like a bit of a problem
for the Lions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, but you know what, Rickus Pretorius and start of Rickus Pretorius, I felt, you know, he's shown if you give him ball, especially on the front foot. You know, he's a big man, but he's got some good movement. You know, he can move. Yeah, he's got good hands as well. Like you're saying, down that short side in the narrow channels. You know, then Dan du Plessis, I feel like for the longest time, he's been the most consistent sort of player for the Stormers in the back line. You know, in terms of one thing, effort level. And you could see, I mean, like at some stage in that game, you could see that this guy's he's running his socks off because he was just trying to get into everything, you know. And as a coach, I feel like that's what you want to see, you know.
Yeah, I mean, other changes for the Lions. Van der Berg came on. He had his sort of moment of glory from the scrum, which was turned by in Kanye, who also him at tight head was it was a good thing to see. I mean, it's nice to see the Lions bringing in these guys.
Yeah, you know, like Van der Berg, I feel like, again, I think it's one thing that we spoke about last week was game time. You know, the more time on the field for him, and you could see he had an impact here, a good run, and it looks like it's just a confidence factor. A confidence thing for him. The more he plays, the more confident he'll become. And it's just, you just want to see that guy get more game time. But equally at the same time, you're thinking, well, Andre Warner, he's been putting his hand up, so it does make it difficult. So Van der Berg's got to step up. You know, he's really got to step it up. And then you're going to talk about, you know, the younger Chituka, you know, in the moments that he's had when he's come off the bench, you know, he's really brought impact. I think the only sort of downside from this game is that, you know, he was over the line and he didn't put the ball down. And I feel like that was the game. You know, that's that killer punch, you know.
You know what? I can't fault him. I can't fault him for that. You know, I'm disappointed because it would have been his breakout moment. Like, you know, he had that performance, but it would have been that breakout moment for him. And you want that for players. You want that for players. So it's like, I wanted that for him. I mean, you saw the way that he was reacting. So, I mean, what was more interesting for me about, you know, his play in this one was that he was playing flank. They played him at lock before. And I mean, fine, he's getting more and more game time, but I think at the flank position, he's showing more value than at lock, and I'd like to see him play more flank than playing at lock.
Yeah, completely agree, 100%, 100%. You know, I think, geez, if I'm the Stormers, I'm actually more. Look, Stormers concerned, you know, because they just something is just. It looked like things were coming together for them, and then now just you can see the man of the house was missing in Pieter-Steph du Toit. You know, we cannot disregard the influence and the impact that he has on that team, you know, because it just looks like when he's not there, they struggle to find that other gear, you know, because he's pulling them, because it's fine. Bonambi, Kitsov, Malherba, all box, they good, you know, they put in solid performances, but then there's the engine, you know, and that's Pieter-Steph du Toit. And if I'm the Stormers, it's like, okay, without Pieter-Steph, you know, you don't look dangerous, you don't look threatening, or you don't even. Yes, you'll win ugly like they did the weekend. Just credit to them for staying in the fight, but then you don't see that happening against the Bulls, for example, without Peter Steph. You know, you don't see that happening against stronger opposition.
That's just not going to happen against the Bulls. The Lions' defense and lineouts is just not on a Bulls level. You know, if they had those sort of things secured, then we're talking wins. But it was painful. It was painful that Tim Swiel was the one to knock it over. I would have been a bit happier if it was Abner van Reenen. I mean,
like true, because even when Swiel was on, you know, I didn't really see there's no difference in terms of from an attacking impetus. But I think, you know, you can understand why Dobson wanted to go the Swiel way, or because Swiel, he's got that sort of look. He's got a good boot. He can move a team around, you know, and that's what effectively he came to do. You know, he got them in the right field positions, and the Stormers are fortunate enough to get a penalty. And look, it's not the first time that I've seen Swiel steal a game, you know.
Unfortunately.
He swindled that one as well. So, you know, there's just unlucky for the Lions. I really, like I said, I still go back to what I said. It was unlucky, yes, but also just annoying because I felt the Lions overall they just looked much better, you know.
Yeah. Moving to next game of the weekend of round 3, Bulls versus Sharks. I mean, they're talking about the North-South final, and this was sort of who's gonna be that team, who's gonna stake that claim, who's really the guy, and I think those questions have been answered.
Yeah, look, they've been answered. You know what I can say for the Bulls. You know, Dad was home in Dwayne Vermeulen. You know, assistant Dad was there. You know, and he showed up. That was Mornay Steyn, and then the two uncles. You know, Trevor and Lizo. You know, they came on and, you know, and they finished the job, you know, and Dad doesn't even have to do much in this game. You know, he left it to everybody else and gee whiz. Man, that was...
For me, Lizo and Trevor coming on, it was like your dad coming home and you and your brothers have been playing. They were running amok there in the scrums. You know, the Sharks were having their way, and then Dad came home and they didn't take the meat out the freezer, and there was some hidings handed out. There was some discipline.
Hey, there's a big discipline dished out. You know, look, at halftime, I'm thinking, you know, this is a real game. The Sharks are in it. You know, it was like just patience, because the way they finished, especially even the way that they finished the half, you know, it was just fine margins where, you know, they got that cross kick over. It was just too tight to the touchline, and they hadn't stretched the Bulls enough, you know. And credit to the Bulls defense and the defensive coach, because they've got a very solid defense, you know, and that's down to the work that they put in, the communication there, and just they cover the field and they close down the space, you know. And I'm thinking Sharks are in the game. You know, I'm thinking, look, we have a chance.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Ox was having his way. They were just exchanging penalties. I felt even in the first half, you could see the Sharks, that same playing style that they wanted to impose. The game was essentially being played the way they wanted the game to be played.
Yes,
it was that same thing. They got their playing style in. They were moving through their hands. They were doing all those kind of things. And then halftime came, and that all just came to a stop.
Yeah, it really did, you know. And I feel one thing of the Sharks, you know, I was saying the other day, they remind me of sort of the Bulls of old, you know, where if their pack isn't all over the other pack, then they just look ordinary.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the second half, whereas in the first half, it was almost like it was even, you know, because it was just trading penalties. You know, it had that sort of that test match vibe, because this Springboks all over
the physicality. Mbata's shoulders were tested.
Hey, my man. Hey, I thought that guy was going to come off the field, but yeah, look, he's a soldier. You know, he soldiered on. But geez, he copped Eskom's thigh, you know, on the head. That was the first blow. And I was thinking to myself, my goodness, I wonder just that impact. You know, the guy, he probably felt like he was in a washing machine or something like that, because he just looked rattled. He didn't know what was going on, you know. then he came again, and then it was Ulrich Loh, you know, with the hard carry. And we've seen in the past few rounds, or the past game that Ulrich Loh was playing, his carries, he's strong through the contact, you know. And geez, look, credit to Fez Mbata.
Credit to him. And I like that he's sort of first man willing to make those tackles. You want that, especially from your hooker, to be the guy that says, you know, I'm gonna take it. Good to see Fassi joining the line, and putting in those little kicks as well. You can see like the tactical awareness, you know, him also getting involved. You can see his game maturing. You know, he's not just a guy that runs it from the back.
Look, in the first half, I liked that. I liked what the Sharks were trying to do, because what they're effectively saying to the Bulls is that, look, if you want to play, you're going to play out of your own half. You know, we're not going to try and run this thing back at you. You're going to play out of your own half. And if you do kick it out, we'll get the line out and we'll try to play from here, you know, which is all well and good in the first half, you know. But I felt in the second half, the Bulls came out with a different attitude to say, listen, you know, let's take this game to them, you know. And I feel like the Sharks were not ready, you know. The pack, especially the tight five, especially once the changes came, you know, when Ox and Thomas were off, you know, the wheels were just off. I can't say, if I look at, and I saw a stat in the game, Kolisi was, you know, in the top tier of the tacklers. He was the only Sharks player, you know, and surrounded by Bulls guys. So he was busy doing the dirty work, you know, and credit to him, you know, his work rate was there. Henko Fenter, I feel like in this game, he was non-existent, you know. Noche, look, in the first half, he was really trying. He was putting in an effort, you know. He got bumped off by Dad in that game, you know, and in that half. But he was still holding on for dear life on his jersey. He made an effort. And then you look at when Pepsi came on. What I loved about Pepsi's play when he came on, he was putting in hits. You know, he was fronting up. He was fronting up. He was bringing that physicality, you know, because at Loftus, that's what you need to do against the Bulls. You need to bring that physicality, and he was doing it. You know, where I had a problem was, from an attacking point of view, was Sharks. Kern Bosch was sort of sitting back in the pocket. He wasn't taking the ball to the line, and the Bulls already knew what he was going to do. You know, he was going to put those aerial bombs. You know, the one thing, the box kicking from the Sharks is aerial bombs. For me, they're not really contestable. They were just giving the ball back to the Bulls, you know, and basically saying, come put us under pressure. So it wasn't helping I don't feel like he was helping his team, you know, especially his pack. You know, you want to keep what you're doing in the first half, is putting them in their own half. But then, secondly, you want to now apply the pressure with ball in hand, which is what the Sharks, you know, which is where their success has been. But outside of that, then for me, it was just, that second half was just poor, especially when the wheels came off. But again, you know, the Bulls, man.
Yeah, I'd say the Bulls did more of that when they sort of, you know, bringing in the new front row, bringing in Zach Berger, speed up play a different style. And then it's like the first half was, we're going to play Sharks rugby. Second half, we're going to play Bulls rugby. And we saw which one was more effective.
Yeah. And that's what it is. You know, the Bulls, I think the Bulls, you know, one thing that I like about the Bulls, they've got an identity. They know how they want to play. Yes, they are refining their ways, but it's great to see.
They make some SA teams look unprofessional.
That's true. That's very true. You know, because, geez, you know, from 12-9 to, you know, 19-9, you finish at 43-9. You know, that for me, if I'm the Sharks, I'm worried, you know, because you're thinking to yourself, okay, without Thomas and without Ox, you know, the Sharks are looking very lean, you know, in terms of, you know, the front row cupboard. Mkunu, he's still young, he's still developing there. The Liu said, you know, He tried to make a difference. He was trying to get himself into the game with some physicality, but I think by then, it was just the writing was
pack
really on
dissolved.
the
I think you even saw in that mall try, the pack completely dissolved.
Roller skates for these guys were on ice. I couldn't believe what I saw. They ran them. It was the bull run, ran them through, scored I was just, it was difficult to watch that second half. It was difficult to watch, difficult to accept, because it just, I really wasn't impressed. And then I wasn't happy with how even the Sharks with Nahamba getting, 10 minutes, what's he going to do in 10 minutes? Even Libok getting about 8 minutes.
He almost scored though.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to
that shows a fly off taking it to the line where Cohen Bosch doesn't.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with that. That's exactly where I was going with that, is look at that difference, because the reason why he was able to do that is because the Bulls were seeing one picture all day, is Bosch getting the ball deep in the pocket and him just shifting it out wide, allowing that Bulls defense just to fan out. All they had to do is, push up on 12, fan out, out wide, and they've covered everybody. And there was no need for them to sort of panic defensively. But the moment Libok was on, just that first touch, that one scrum, that touch, he showed what the Sharks need. And I'm going out on a limb here and saying that in the next game, I think it's fair that Libok gets a start at 10, because we've seen enough from Bosch. It's not going to win us championships. I'm sorry to say, but that's not going to win the Sharks championships.
Every other week you see him talking about saying, he's wanting to get involved in the British and Irish Lions squad. And I mean, this has been talk since last year. And it's like every other week we're seeing an article about it.
Look, here's what I'm going to say. Everyone's allowed to dream, so who are we to say people mustn't dream, But the reality is no. Right now, if they had to say to me between Kern Bosch and Jordan Hendrickson, right now, make a snap decision. Who's going to play? I'm going to go with Jordan Hendrickson. He looked so much calmer. He looked assured of what he was doing as a 10, knowing when to take it to the line, knowing when to kick it. He was varying his play. It wasn't just one trick pony. Yes, Kern Bosch has got a boot, but what else can he bring? We know he's got pace. Look, there was a time where we criticized, the Dupree and Sons Corporation because they had him at fullback, and now I'm slowly starting to sort of see why the Dupree Senior saw more value in Bosch at fullback than at 10.
I do. I feel like he's better serving the team at fullback, because I mean he has those runs from deep, and I think that's more suited to fullback. But I mean there's Farsi there, so it's a bit of a non-starter. Yeah,
it's a tough one, man. But again, the Bulls are just, for me, they're just, if you look at, like I say, Dwayne Vermeulen didn't have to work hard in this game, because I think just his presence just lifts that whole team. Marco van
Staden, Elric Lowe making line breaks,
putting people in gaps, in space out wide. Look, I really like the look of this Elric Lowe. I like the look of him, because he's bringing a different dynamic that we haven't seen from a South African number 7, if I may say that, in a while, because he's got the physicality, he's good on the ground. Then he's got his strong carries, and he's got the hands as well. He can see that space. He's not just thinking about getting it, just taking it up. And that's where I can see. I know I was reading an article about Marco van Staden being unlucky, not being being spoken about being in the Bok mix. I feel like there's one criticism I can have is that early on in the game, You know, it was on for him to let a ball go out wide, you know, and he took it up as opposed to letting the pass go. Maybe it's, you know, small little elements like that.
But I mean, he had. I mean, if you go back to the game they had against the Storm, he was that man in the midfield that let it go wide. So
yeah,
he has that passing ability.
Yeah, it does. Maybe it's just a decision-making thing. But geez, Ulrich Loh, you know, then you've got the tall timber from the Bulls. They're almost like unknown quantities, but these guys just work. You know, those guys they work for each other and they play well. That's a good locking combination that the Bulls have. Yeah, you know, those guys work. You know, then the young front rowers from the Bulls. You know, look, credit to them early on when they were getting the penalties. I think it was the tight head. You know what he was doing to Ox. You know, he's overextending and then making Ox drop. You know, I learned that from I think Robbie Kempson is a commentator, and he was, you know, he explained that sort of dynamic. And then you actually saw it when he released that pressure. You know, Ox immediately dropped his penalty. You know, so just smart. But then when the referee was on that side, automatically that stopped, you know. So it was,
because he was I know what he was doing. He was hanging on for dear life because he knew in a fair contest this one, so you have to use the dark arts. But talking front row, when Lizo came on, the pastor
man,
you know, he put the fear of God into the Sharks. He was it was a big. We're talking about man of the house. He was paying some bills there. He was paying some bills. You saw the try. He was in control.
Yeah, no, he really was. He was in that game, and it's almost like he single-handedly. He was just like, no, look, this is my house, you know, and it was. He made light work. He really did. He made light work. And what I liked about him is how his alertness. And he's what I love what he brings to his game is that ability to, at the breakdown, when he's maybe first man in to clean, he's just his ability to just identify when to do the pick and go through the middle.
The awareness.
You know, that for me is, you know,
he was playing on another level. He was he was playing on another level to some guys around him on the day. Hendricks as well. That pass from the Ulrich Loh break, it's just, I think we're just seeing him more and more and more knocking on the door.
He's growing. Yeah, he's growing. And look, it's going to be very hard to ignore. That's one thing that I like about the guys. A lot of these guys in the Bull setup is that they're going to make it very hard to ignore them. You know, because they delivering, you know, even in tough times.
Sorry to cut you, but like I saw the team of the week. And there was 2 Stormers players. The rest is just Bulls.
Oof. Yeah, you see, and you can't question that. You know, you really can't. You really can't if you think about it. You know, because the Bulls guys, they just, it's the winning ways. You know, it's Jake White's winning ways. You know, they are there. You know, and you have to take your hat off to him. Love him or hate him. Or hate him. He's a good coach. You know, he's
certainly
a good coach.
Hate him, but that's besides the point. Another thing that's good from him. I mean, we spoke about them implementing the club system. They I don't know if you saw, they were talking about, I think it's Jan Hendrik Vessel, who had the tough time going down to Nelspruit. Now they played him at hooker in a club game, and he's backing him to be the next, you know, Malcolm Marx, basically.
John Smith, Malcolm Marx, they're speaking of him in the same sort of light.
Yeah.
You know,
so, I mean, those are again things that Jake White brings.
He does. He brings a lot of sort of different things. And you know, one thing is that you can appreciate about him is he'll always be a South African. He'll always be a number one Springbok diehard fan, and he wants to make always for the better of the Springboks. You know, I mean, you even saw when I read an article, he was talking about Johan Goosen and how you're saying that, look, if he was managed right, had the right people, he could have been 100 tests Springbok.
Yeah.
You know, and you're saying his commitment to him when he comes to the Bulls is that he wants to make him a Springbok again, you know, and, you know, he's been there as a Springbok coach, so obviously he knows what it takes, you know, and I think, you know, the Bulls they're in the right hands at the moment, you know.
Well, and I mean, he's playing 13. He's playing 13. You throw him in at 13 to the squad, it's even more trouble.
It is, you know, but overall, look, Stravino Jacobs, there's one guy you can't, he's looking better. Yes, maybe the last game he had a bit of a lapse, you know, uncharacteristic, but when he's on, he's deadly, super deadly. The physicality, you know,
doesn't make mistakes.
Aerial skills. Yeah, he makes very minimal mistakes.
Very few.
You know, so look, that Bulls team, you know,
they just suffocate you. They suffocate you, and it reaches a point where there's no fighting back, as we saw.
Yeah, but maybe the Sharks as well. I think missing a guy like JJ van der Mesh, that physicality, that extra physicality, because that's one thing you can say. Okay, you know, is this Reniel Hugo, Ruben van Heerden?
He faded away.
They faded. They faded in this game. They really did.
I think that's when you can see sort of lightweight guys.
You know, when the going gets tough, that's honestly, when the going gets tough, that's when you want to see, you know, is that find the result is not going our way, but then you want to see, okay, even in this tough situation, who's your effort man? You know, who's your effort man that's working? And yeah, there's very, very few effort men this weekend from the Sharks.
Moving along, I want to get to power rankings. I mean, we look at let's look at the Bok team. Started the World Cup final.
Yeah.
Are there any guys for you that you'd say, okay, I'm gonna take this one out and I'm gonna put this guy there? Beast has since retired, so that's the only spot that's technically available. But are there any other guys there that you feel maybe we'll take this one in, maybe we'll put this one in?
Yeah, look, I know Beast, that spot is available. So based on, you know, his impact, you know, off the bench, I'll even go as far as say, okay, Lizo jumps ahead and he goes to number one, you know. Give him a carrot.
Not Steve.
He goes to number one. Not Steve. No, not this week. That was just one. That was
not Ox.
I need to see. No, not even Ox. Not even Ox. I just feel like Lizo is head and shoulders right now. Lizo is standing head and shoulders above every other number one in the country. So I'll go with him there at one. At hooker, you know, Bongi he still keeps his spot for me.
Yeah.
You know, at tight head, I feel like this is where it gets interesting, you know, because Mauheba, I don't know what's been going on this lately, you know, but yeah, I'm just, you know, Klaus doesn't just fade, so maybe, you know, he just keeps his spot at the moment. You know, he just keeps his spot. Then at lock, because I'm strictly looking at the guys playing in the Rainbow Cup SA. I'm not looking at guys overseas at the moment. So, you know, then at lock, the two Bulls locks for me, they stand out for sure, you know. And then number 6, this one is hard because it's the captain, but this one's hard because it's the captain, and I don't want to make decisions on sentiment and whatnot, you know. But if we had to be honest, number 6 right now, one who's been consistent is Eskom Marco van Staden, so I'll give him the nod at 6, you know, because he's just been more consistent for me. 7, I go with my boy Vince Chituka. He for me, he goes in there. I think he takes Peter Steff, and purely I'm just basing it off right now, you know, because he's played more and he's had the opportunity to be more consistent. So based on that, I'm rewarding him for that, Then at 8, Dad keeps his position, like it's hard to replace Dad, man. Like, no, Dad, no, Dad is Dad, so he keeps it there, Then it becomes tricky at 9. Why I say it becomes tricky at 9 is the guys are they're not consistent. All of the 9s so far, But one that I can say just edges it, just edges it. I go with Jordan, I go with the older Hendrickson brother at 9, just sneaks in there, Then at 10, oh my goodness, this one is even worse, At 10,
Fred Zailing.
I have to. Oh, no ways. No, that one, no, I'll fight you on that one. No, at 10 right now, out of this crop, I have to go with simply the best True Blue assistant dad, Monet Stain. Like I feel like he gets it in there because of his experience, and in a big game. So Saturday was a big game, and he didn't make mistakes really. Kicking a goal was 100%. So I'll go with him. Then my 11. This one's also a bit of a tricky one, but my 11, I think I'll go with Stravino Jacobs. He takes the nod there at 11. 12, easily I'll go with Conor Hendricks. Then I'll go with 13. I think Lukanyami, he still keeps his position, but only just because Similane is there, but only just. 14, on the right wing, I go with Edwin van der Merwe. For me, I feel he's a premier. He's showing that he's a premier winger. He can make it there,
No Nkosi.
And then no Nkosi. No, he's out. He's not even in the squad. He must. For now, he's not even in the squad. He needs to go back and do some more work. Then 15, for me, this one was easy. Fassi goes in at 15. That's just for me based on right now Rainbow Cup, the guys that make it.
I've done it a little bit different. I've kept that even guys that are overseas, and I've said even you that's overseas, your position is at stake.
Yeah.
So we'll start 1, and I'll give it to Kitsov. I'll give it to Kitsov. 2, Ngonambi. We all know.
Okay. Yeah.
3, it's a Lions decision. We're going Saudi. We're going Saudi. The Lions scrum is back, baby. We're back. So I have to give it to Saudi. He showed, he showed, especially against the Stormers, all Bok front row. He showed, he showed his worth. I'll play Peter Steph at 4. Lote Yaka.
Okay.
I haven't seen you play. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. It hasn't happened here. I'm not fond.
Fondness does not live here.
Yeah, no, I've forgotten about Etzebeth in at 5. Number 6. You spoke about this being one of those sentimental, and he's the captain. We don't want articles in the report. It's highly controversial. But I'm gonna say Van Staden at 6.
Yeah,
I think his linking, especially with Dwayne Vermeulen. Now, I've seen the way both of them play, hunting as a pack and playing together. I think we need to work with some combinations. So I'll put Van Staden 6. 7, Kolisi. That's where I'm going to put my captain. I'm going to put him at 7.
Okay.
Chituka was pushing him, but I think when you spoke about how Kolisi still put his hand up in the midst of a Bulls attack, I've got to give it to the man.
Okay.
8.
Okay.
We all know who the 8 is.
Yeah, no doubt.
Number 9, Faf. Faf retains his place. He's one of those that we still remember. Lut, we don't remember, but Faf, we still remember.
Must have been 10. It must have been that South African flag underwear. It's a Speedo. Speedo's working for him.
Number 10, you know me. It's Elton Jantjies.
It's Ella.
It's Ella. Like Ella, we've got to put him at 10. I think Pollard just came back, so I can also use that as an excuse. I can also use that as. He was injured. I think Jantjies. He had like 19 points this weekend or something like that. So I'm gonna go with Jantjies. My Pimpy, he's back at the Sharks, and I'd retain him there.
Okay.
Number 12. Dialendi, I'm sorry. We got to go with Cornel Hendricks.
Okay.
The guy is on fire. No more explanation needed. Arm's being pushed by Simulani, but still retain Arm. Colby is Colby.
Yeah,
can't drop him.
Yeah.
15. Valiru can stay in Japan. Fasi. We're gonna go. I was never a guy. I won't lie. There was just something that was off with me with Fasi, but the more I've seen him play, the more I've become a fan. It's just like I am a hater. Naturally, I'm a hater, so I also had to check myself, and I was just like, no, are you just hating on this guy? So and I was like, no, I am just hating on this guy. So I have to say Fasi. Fasi's in at 15.
That's a solid look. It's a solid one. I like there's consistency, yes. And look, obviously it was different because you were also looking at the overseas guys, But I feel like even with the local guys that I've mentioned, if you put those guys easily in the mix, with the guys that you've kept in there, that's a strong squad.
It's a strong squad. Overall. I mean, you look at the locks. If we didn't have Etzebeth and Peter Steph, Nokia and the boys would be there. Yeah,
they'd be there. That's true. Solid team, It's a pity. It's a pity we don't remember Luet, Who is he again?
But we'll see. Then he'll come for the test series and show us how good he is again. But I mean, it just shows we've got a good. The squad is going to be strong. I just hope that the guys that are on the fringes are being looked at, because it'll be such a shame for guys when you see such dominant performances and they don't get rewarded for them. Because then it's at the point where it's like, now what must I do? Yeah,
true. That's when you have guys just going overseas, maybe wanting to play for France or whatever, or for Wales or Ireland, or So, look, I echo what you say.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. Maybe the Welsh, the Dragons, they need him.
Manny Livok, it's not too late.
Maybe the Dragons, they need him. But look, for me, it's just like what you say. You just hope that the guys get the reward. Even if it means, like, if we've got a big squad, the guys need to be at least involved and understand what they need to do to crack it, and at least have the point of departure where they can, try and make it into the box. That's
the new bomb squad. That's what we need. We need the new bomb squad.
That's true, and we need to look at the future as well. Because there's going to be some retirements. There's going to be guys. There are going to be injuries. Some career-ending injuries. Unfortunate side of the game. People are going to retire, and some people, the form is going to dip. So guys must just be ready. And that's what we're hoping for, is that we put together a strong squad. We're building up. It's almost the end of May. We're getting into June, 3rd of July. These guys they're not even here 3rd of July. They're going to be here before the 3rd of July. But it kicks off officially 3rd of July. So, Mana, put the brandies and coke away for now, Put them away for now.
As you said last week, the British are coming. Look alive, guys. Look alive. Any closing comments from you, Chris?
No, look, all I can say is that, tough weekend results for our teams. More for my team than your team. Your team, at least you can see the trajectory. My team, I'm starting to get worried now. But we'll go again next week. We don't stop.
No, they're discussing in the Rock Nation offices as we speak. They're holding meetings. So
they're trying to get Temba Bavuma in there at 9.
Yeah, and that's it from us this week. Thanks for watching. Tammy Switch Pod. Out.
Yes, sir.